Brilliance Audio presents Undaunted, Surviving Jonestown, Summoning Courage, and Fighting Back by Jackie Speier. Performed by the author. Leo Ryan did not look or behave like your typical politician. Tall, with salt and pepper hair and charisma, he commanded a room. A whirlwind of presence accompanied him wherever he went. After he got your attention, he would tell you precisely what was on his mind, no matter who you were or whether or not you wanted to hear it. He took great pride in evading being pigeonholed in any one school of thought. He didn't pander, he was never evasive, and he always punched up, never down. Though he saw the big national picture, as a politician he was laser-focused on his district and willing to make any sacrifice for his constituents. He also had an acute ability to smell a rat anywhere. Ryan's suggestion to me on that fated night at UC Davis that I would learn far more about political science by receiving first-hand experience in his office was entirely in step with the way he approached politics. He was iconoclastic, brash, and fearless. He had a profoundly inquisitive nature, and as a result, his politics and methods were based in experiential legislating, which meant he chose not to rely solely on staffers or advisors, essential as they were, for information. He preferred to go out and experience the problems firsthand before he decided how to handle any issues. After race riots roiled through much of the largely African-American neighborhood of Watts, Ryan briefly took a job as a substitute teacher in one of the poorest schools in the community. He wanted to have real conversations with the students, parents, and educators. What he learned from that experience found its way into legislation the following session. Then, in 1970, as chairman of a committee overseeing prison reform, he had listened to inmates talk about the subhuman conditions in California prisons. So, under a pseudonym, he had himself booked, strip-searched, and incarcerated for 10 days at Folsom State Prison to get an unvarnished perspective of the criminal justice system in California. He only revealed his identity when it was time to be released. A couple of the prisoners appreciated his efforts. He treated them as equals, and ideally he would help pass legislation to improve their living conditions, which he later did. They showed their gratitude and respect by giving him a chess set that had been sculpted from toothpaste and toilet paper. He treasured it. He wasn't afraid of the justifiably angry community in Watts. He wasn't afraid of the inmates at Folsom, and as he liked to say, he ate bureaucrats for lunch. He never let fear get in his way. I had nothing but respect for his methods and plenty to learn. So that night in the restaurant, when he offered me a position interning in his office, it didn't take a lot of reflection before I leapt at the opportunity to observe him at work. I arranged to start interning in his Sacramento office at the start of my sophomore year, and would receive 2 units of credit for it as an independent study. I loved everything about it. I had my own little area, a kind of mini office, a nook, to put it generously, but it was designated just for me, which felt like a thrilling affirmation. I was a professional with an office. My job was to answer all of Ryan's constituent mail. I used a dictaphone, a cassette recorder used to tape and transcribe, which I brought with me back and forth to the Capitol. This was not a slick little recorder that I could slide into my pocket. The thing must have been about 6 by 10 inches, and I lugged it around with me everywhere. I didn't mind it in the slightest. In fact, I was quite pleased with myself for having been entrusted with it. I would dictate responses to constituent letters into the dictaphone, then bring the machine back to the secretaries who would type up the responses for Ryan's signature.